All right, so we start now. And just I think she will take some time to join. So in the meanwhile, we can go with the next shloka. Is that okay? So we can start with shloka 13.7.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. So you're able to hear me? So Sukshma Sharirabhimani Atma Taijasaha Iti Uchyate. So it says the self identifying itself with the subtle body is called Taijasaha. So when the self is identifying itself with the Sthula Sharira, at the physical body, when we are in the awake state, then we are able to see everything around us with the help of the sunlight. But once we move towards the dream state, that is, as we sleep in the night, our physical body is completely absent. And then we sometimes get into dream world. And with the dream world, you still need an internal light to provide that dream world for you. So the self takes up the Sukshma Sharira. So when the self takes up the Sukshma Sharira, that's when it's called as Taijasaha. Just a second. So when our self is predominantly functioning through Sukshma Sharira during dream state, which expresses itself through the 17 instruments, mind being the prominent one, then it is called as Taijasaha. So that's this time it's just been pretty simple for me. So thank you.
Any questions? So okay, let me then ask some questions to Suresh so that it kind of makes sense to all of you. And Suresh, this will be a conversation between you and me. So when you're saying the self that expresses through the 17 sense organs, that is called Tejasa. What are these? What is that self that we are talking about?
It's the Atman. It's the our real self.
Right. Right. Wonderful. Thank you so much. So what this shloka is trying to say is that the real self for you, and who is that real self? That real self is you, yourself. You are Atman. You, the Atman, has identifications. Identifications in the waking state, which Vidya will talk about, and identification in the dream state. So suppose, Suresh, if I were to ask you, in the dream state, when you, the consciousness, is identified with the dream body, so do you feel that's a different universe from the waking body, or you feel that's the reality?
For me, at that moment, that is the reality.
Correct. So you, the consciousness, you are identified with an aspect of your mind which which creates its own set of world, right?
Absolutely.
So you kind of get attached to that, and that you call it as, that's what we are referring to as when the
Taijasaha.
yeah, when the self is identified. So what the scripture is trying to do right now is giving a name. So what Suresh has explained is beautiful, because what you need to understand the technicalities of here, that there is a self. There is a self, that means I am that Atman, which is identified to a specific state of mind. When I'm identified to a particular state of mind, there is a name which is given to the Atman. It's the same Atman. So suppose, let's take example of Kaushal. So someone calls Kaushal a teacher, depending upon her role. Someone will call Kaushal a mother, depending upon her role. And someone will call Kaushal a daughter, depending upon her role. So it's the same Kaushal. Three different names are given, basis her three different identifications. Correct? Similarly, I, the Atman, and the consciousness has three different identification. First identification is something which Sri Vidya will talk about. Suresh has spoken about the second identification. So I, the Atman, when I get identified with the dream world, then the technical name given for the Atman and the dream world, or the Atman expressing itself into a dream world, is Tejasa. Clear? So I, the Atman, will identify myself into three different worlds. So that is what Suresh said right now. Is this okay for all of you? Any questions on this? Great. So Shri Vidya, you have you would like to present?
Yes. So sorry, I was late.
No, no worries, no worries.
Desktop. Okay. Should I start? Okay. Salutations. So I received this. Yeah, the shloka that we received today was 13.6. And while going through this again, a lot of learnings are very interesting about the dream state, basically. So here it says it is asking Swapnavastha keti keti chet. Ka iti chet, actually, that keti is nothing but it can be split into two words. Ka iti chet. Jagrata avasthayam yadrishtam yachutam tajjanita vasanaya nidra samaye yaha prapancha pratiyate sa swapnavastha. So while reading this, deciphering each of that, I will explain to you. For the question, what is swapnavastha, which is dream state? So here it is asking, what is dream state? Keti chet is nothing, but what is the dream state? The explanation is the world that is projected while in sleep from the impressions born out of what has been seen or heard in the waking state is called dream. That's what in a very short form this was mentioned, but going deeper we will understand a lot of other things. A swapnavastha is basically the dream state. Now when does this dream state happen is what we are going to be learning in this slide. So swapnavastha keti is split as ka iti. The Sishya asked the question, what is the dream state? So the Guru says that in the waking state, not only we are experiencing the world, every experience is leaving an impression in the mind. So the mind not only serves as a perceiving medium through the senses, mind also serves as a recording medium. Yeah. So through all the senses, while we are learning, while in the awakened state, the mind is not just perceiving, but also through the senses, but it is also recording whatever has happened through the day. So mind is a unique recorder. It can record words. It can record shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, which is nothing but from the five senses. Shabda is basically what we hear. Sparsha is basically the touch and feel. And rupa is to be able to see. rasa is the taste, and gandha is the smell. So all the five sense organs are recording through the mind. Yeah. And mind is a unique recorder. It is recording the words also. Now, every recording medium has a limited capacity. Yeah, we all know that. And so mind is supposed to have so much capacity that not only it has the recordings of the experiences of this life, but also has the recordings of the past janmas, according to what the scriptures have mentioned. But sometimes we also have met people who remember their past lives. I've seen a couple of videos, and also I've heard about past life regression, where people go to their past lives and they remember it, and they kind of rework on the past life and come back to the present state. So every mind has just not the capacity to store recordings of the experiences of now, but also previous lives, previous janmas. So these recordings are called vasana. I think I've heard a couple of times from Bidan during our previous sessions, and also all of you. So vasana was, when we went deeper, it is nothing but the vasana or the samskaram, which is nothing but the impressions. So experience is called anubhava. So when I experience something, then it becomes anubhava. But when it gets recorded, those become the impressions. So recording is also called as vasana or samskara. Thus, throughout the waking state, we are gathering vasana, that is impressions. Some vasanas are lighter vasanas. Some impressions that we are gathering are very lighter day-to-day activities. But some vasana have a deep impact in us. So it may be a very rare good experience or very rare bad experience also. So both of them get registered in the mind. Once we go to the dream state, we are no more operating the physical body, because we are in deep sleep. We have withdrawn from the physical body. That is why we are not aware of the physical body in dream. Many times we don't even remember the dream, but that's because our senses are not active at that time. So which means the physical body is not operating. Therefore body becomes non-functional. Non-functional means the deliberate functions are not there at the body level. So once the body is non-functional, the sense organs are also non-functional, because sense organs can function only through the physical bodies. Yeah, physical body. It means I no more contact the external world. Body resolved, as it were, sense organs resolved. So I've just taken it from what was there in the book. Body resolved, as it were, sense organs resolved, as it were. The external world is also resolved for me. Me is the consciousness. Other people who are awake may experience, but as far as I am concerned with the physical world, the physical body, the sense organs, all of them are non-functional at the moment in the dream state, that is swapnavastha. Now that the external world is unavailable, the mind has a choice. If the mind also becomes non-functional, then we go to the state of deep sleep state. However, often it doesn't happen because mind has a lot of other things inside. So all of these vasanas which are stored inside the mind, they get an opportunity to get activated. So whether a vasana gets activated or not depends upon the law of karma. So whether what was the good karma or the bad karma, depending upon that, and this is also mentioned, in the scripture. So when a vasana, how a vasana gets activated depends upon the law of karma. Now, after all of this, when we looked at this Jagratavasthyam, yeah, in the waking state, not only the waking state of the current janma, you have to include the past janmas also. Yeah, while we were awake in the past janma, we are going to be including those impressions also. Excuse me. Yad drishtam, yad shrutam means whatever is seen by me in the waking state and whatever is heard by me in the waking state. Yeah. Yat drishtam is eyes, yat shrutam is by heard. Sorry, it is the ear. Shrutam is ear. So sometimes certain wounding words of a person deeply gets registered in the waking state. They get replayed in the dream repeatedly. Yeah, the same words that a person used in 1982, and that too only once. But I have wonderful capacity of replaying the same words. So this was just a example that was given. Therefore, yatrishtam yatshrutam tat janita Vasanaya Anubhava Janya Vasana is the rule. So every experience generates Vasana. Every Vasana generates a memory or a dream. And in the waking state, when the Vasana is activated, it is called the memory. And I know it is my own mind that it is projected. And the I is the consciousness again. I know it is my own mind that all of this is projected. But the very same Vasana, when it is projected in the dream, I no more call it a memory. I call it a swapna. That is what it is. So all our impressions that we have gathered in the during the awakened state are replayed again in the dream state. Yeah, all the vasanas are generated again projected in the dream state. Now this dream is no more called the memory. When projected in the dream, it becomes swapna. Yeah, that's what they are mentioning here. Now both are generated by impressions itself. Yeah. Janita Vasanaya Nidra Samaye. At this time of sleep, that is partial sleep, ya prapancha pratiyate. Whatever universe is experienced there. Yeah. Ya prapancha pratiyate. Yeah. So if you see certain dreams which you have not experienced in the current janma, the Shastra says that they must have been registered in the past janma. So that is why Prashnopanishad says that Drishtam cha Adrishtam cha. So some dreams are seen based on our experiences in the current janma. Adrishtam cha, certain experiences are based on the waking state of the Purva janma. Some people talk about the dream of the future. In the sense we say, I have a future dream. That is not at all related here. It doesn't come under the swapna. So by definition, dream is that which is based on the past experiences. Future cannot become past experience because it is still future. Yeah. So this is something I may want to, want help of Bidan here. Ya prapancha pratiyate, whatever universe is experiencing at this point in time, and I'm not able to interpret that. If Bidan can help me there, that'll be great. Yeah, that's the slide about 13.6 that I received. Thank you all.
Okay. So let us just try and reinterpret what Srividya spoke. So she was talking about a word called vasanas. Did you all get a hang of what this word vasana or samskara is? Because this will come again and again, and that's very important for us to understand this. Anyone would like to talk about it? Vasana literally means smell. Smell. All right. So if you keep a flower and if you remove the flower, the smell is still there. The fragrance is still there. Correct. So vasana is basically the residue of all our karmas. So every karma that we do, every action that we do, or every action or every experience, anubhava, as what Sri Vidya was talking, every experience that I have, it leaves a vasana. It leaves a impression, right? Now I have lived my karma. Say someone has spoken rudely to me, or I have spoken someone rudely to someone, or someone has spoken nicely to me, or yes, Kaushik.
Bidan, okay, just out of the blue, this thing, I had a question. So we have dream state, a whole world is created. We have a Tejasa, there's a me in that world. Do we gather karma in that world?
Okay. So if you look at what this shloka which says in Sri Vidya, that the dream state is a function of all the karmas which has been gathered in the waking state.
Okay.
So all the impressions or samskaras that I have gathered in the waking state has two things. One, it will set in your subconscious mind, and your waking state, it will kind of affect your actions. And in the dream state, it will throw up your dream state. It creates dreams. So that's why you will see that a lot of time. So to answer your question, I don't think so that you create further karma by being in a dream state. But for all you know, in the dream state, you are also resolving some of your karmas. So sometimes you will hear of people who do a lot of dream analysis. They will try and understand your dream and interpret what is happening to you in your life right now. Right? So dream is a way for the mind to express itself, which cannot be expressed in the waking state. So as Srividya said, in dream state, you do not experience anything new. It is just the amalgamation of all the experiences that you had in the waking state. You may also say that, well, the person that I saw or the event that happened, I have never experienced that person. To answer that, for all you know, you would have experienced that person subconsciously. You would have not even registered while you're walking on the road or you're going to a mall. There are a lot of data that you're registering in your subconscious. Or you would have experienced this kind of a phase not only in this lifetime or in the previous lifetimes. Because your mind has the repository or the memory, not only of this lifetime, but of your previous lifetimes. That is what is called karma. So not only what you have acquired from this lifetime, what you have acquired from the previous lifetime is actually driving your present moment and also showing up in form of dreams. Right? Sometimes people say that I'm able to dream about the future. This is what Shivaddha was talking about. You can never dream about the future. If you are able to see something which is going to happen in the future, that is something called an ESP, extrasensory perceptions. It so happens sometimes that you get into a state which is more than the conscious state. You get into a state which is also sometimes known as intuition, where you kind of go beyond the time and the space matrix and you sort of see things which is yet to happen. So that's not a dream. That's something called an ESP. It does happen to each one of us sometimes, or to some people it happens quite frequently. But the dream is basically accumulation of a lot of memories showing itself in the dream state. Is that okay?
And it also happens that there are a lot of times when very vaguely, when in the waking state, you realize that I've seen this somewhere. I've seen this situation somewhere. Or, I'm in the context, I've seen it somewhere, but we are not able to pinpoint and tell.
Like deja vu. We say
Yeah,
deja vu.
deja vu, exactly. That is because that capability is not developed with us, but vaguely, like your mind is trying to tell you this situation, this thing I have seen, this setup I have seen somewhere, but we exactly don't know where it is, nor we know the elements present there.
Right. Thanks, Oma. Yes, Anand.
Bidan, I have a question. So we have three states of mind. That's what we talk in avasthas, right? Where does this subconscious mind fits in? I mean, it's not Jagrat, it's not Swapna, it's not deep sleep.
Okay.
What do you mean by subconscious mind? Are you talking about Atman? What is it like?
No, right now, Bidan was telling, right? I mean, there are some experiences from the subconscious mind. It comes, some memories are stored there. So, what is it and where does it fit in?
So when we refer to the subconscious mind, I'll just take you through a little bit. Okay, I'll technically tell you there are vrittis. The thoughts are basically called vrittis in Upanishads, and they call it sthula vritti and sukshma vritti. So sukshma vritti is called subconscious. Now, this sukshma, why it is called sukshma vritti? Because you cannot access it. It is there. It is lying there. Somewhere it is lying there. And that is which functions all the time. So your sukshma vritti or your mind has not stopped during the dream state as well. So in the waking state, your mind is functioning. You are aware of the partial functions of your mind. Suppose if you are thinking something right now, you are aware of your thoughts. You are aware of your feelings. You are aware of your beliefs, which are vibrating at a certain frequency. But below that vibrations, there are multiple other thoughts which is leading to the generation of those thoughts. Suppose if you're feeling a certain amount of anger, it may be on account of someone has said something to you in the beginning of the day, which you think you are got over it. But for all you know, it will be lying beneath your conscious awareness. It will still be working and sending you those signals. So you will not even know what is happening below your hood. Suppose if you have decided to remember a name right now, right, in the waking state, and you are unable to remember the name, and then you move on to some other job. Do you think your mind has stopped working? No. In the subconscious, the name search continues, and maybe after an hour or two, suddenly you remember, wow, I remember the name. Did it happen by itself? No, because the work continuously happened in the subconscious. So what happens is that your mind has thoughts which you can be aware of, and you have thoughts which you are unaware of. That is about the Jagrata Avastha. In the Swapna Avastha, what is happening is that your sense organs are not working. In the Jagrata Avastha, your mind, how it is accumulating all the data? It is accumulating all the data from your 5 sense organs. Right now, you are in Jagrata Avastha, hopefully. So you're listening to me. You're using your ears. You're looking at me, right? Now, so these two things you are using, these two faculties, right? Listening and hearing. Now, whatever I'm telling you, it is going and sitting in your conscious mind, correct? But at the same time, what is the color of my shirt? You may not have consciously seen, but it would have got registered in your subconscious mind. What are the words that I'm using? It would not be conscious to you, but it would have got registered in your subconscious mind. So all this data would have got into your both conscious and subconscious mind. Now, when you go into dream, for all you know, the mind will start projecting its own world. You will see a face of some other person and the green shirt of some other person. Suddenly there'll be a mix and match of things which will start showing up. Right? So from where it is coming, where is the dream world coming? That is also coming from the memory, right? Where is that memory? The memory is residing in your subconscious. So the subconscious memory is the cause for what your thoughts are during your waking state, which is expressing through your 5 sense organs. And in the dream state, the subconscious memory is projecting a new world for you. And that subconscious memory sometimes is called karmic memory. Because every memory, every experience leaves a residue. That residue is your karma. Does it help? All right.
Question, Vidan.
Yes, Asha.
Any reason why you see certain dreams more than the others? Like, because you might not have experienced in real life, but someone might still get, let's assume, violent things happening in the dream, but you're not really facing them in real life. So, any particular thinking like why would something like that be registered? Why would you keep getting, like, people get nightmares, right? Like, it's not like you're facing all those situations in real life. So I'm wondering, why would that be? Is it because you might have experienced this in your previous janma?
Are accumulated, your dream state is, hello?
Yeah, Uma.
Hello? Yeah. Asha, they are the vasanas that are accumulated over, it need not have to be your current waking state. As Bidan was just now telling, over certain, it could be the past ones also. So those are getting projected as whatever nightmares, whatever. Though currently in this waking state, you're not experiencing any of those things.
Hmm.
So, whatever I know a little bit about the dream analysis, Asha, in the in the dream state, everything is like khichdi. Now, suppose if a person is going through certain level of, if person is going through certain moment of anxiousness, and the person feels that okay, I got over those feelings of anxiousness, but that if he or she may feel that I no longer feel anxious, so I'm fine. But for all you know, that would have gone, that feeling of anxiousness or the feeling of fear would have gone to the subconscious, right? And that subconscious continues to play during your dream time. So it kind of keeps on throwing characters and situation that resonates a lot with the underlying emotions that is there. So when Sri Vidya was explaining, she was saying that every experience leaves a residue, right? Anubhava is the word she used. So every Anubhava was leading a residue. That residue may not remember, may be consciously aware of, but it goes into your subconscious. Now, which of my experiences, which of my vasana, which is playing, whether it is of this lifetime, previous lifetime, or my childhood memories are started showing up right now. We have our own shadows. There is humongous amount of stuff which is there in our subconscious mind. So it kind of shows up during our dreams, depending upon the state of mind that we are.
That is also one of the reasons that in your waking, remember your dream state, but in your dream state you cannot remember your waking state.
Sorry, come again, Uma.
In the waking state, one can remember a dream state or a dream. Okay. But the other way around, in a dream state, you cannot remember a waking state because you're projecting a different, as you said, it's a khichdi. It's the projection is from a lot of things. It's not making sense.
Maybe we'll have to just think through a bit more. Is that somewhere it's mentioned this, that is this the reason why we do not remember? I think we've lost. We're unable to hear you.
Yeah. Okay. I'm driving. I think the signal. Okay, I'll tell you. I'll take this upon a little later with you, Bidan. No problem. Yeah.
Sure.
Just to add to this, Bidan, there's also this part that unmet desires of yours. So dreams are apparently nature's built-in system for your unmet desires. So a lot of your desires, if it's something that, I mean, people do look into your dreams and say, okay, something is telling you that something needs to be done or you're unfulfilled. Those kind of visualizations also happen in dreams, is what it said. I mean, one of the things.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Apna, for sharing. Thank you. Great. So are we done with this? Shall we move to the next shloka then? Is it okay?
Yeah, so I just have one thing to say. So the vasana that they have spoken here in the shloka is about the impressions that has been caused during the day's schedule. Whatever I do today, there are certain I'm as vasanas or the samskaras. There are impressions from the experience that I've had that are being formed in my mind, and only those are the ones that are projected in the dream state according to the whatever we have read today, right? So I'm just thinking. So if a desire is not an experience, if it is just a desire, would I would I be able to project that in a dream? No, not sure, right? But the
Desire is an
dream
experience, no, Shiva?
desire is also
Design has, yeah, it
Is
has
it-
created a vritti or a vasana, no?
okay.
It has created, though it's not an experience, but it has created a vasana.
Okay. But vasana again is formed only by the pancha indriyas, right? So I mean, just going back with the thing. So how does desire then come into which of the pancha indriya that absorbs this desire, such that it is projected during in my dream state?
So let us take a practical example, Shiva.
Okay.
Right? Suppose you have a desire to travel the world
Okay.
and you suppress that desire because you can't.
Hmm.
Have you created an impression in your mind?
Yeah.
Through suppression?
Yeah. Okay, that's in that sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Santosh, do you want to recite the shloka?
Yeah, sure. Good evening, everyone. I would like to first start by offering my salutations to our gurus in the order that's relevant to our group here. That is Sri Adi Shankaracharya, Sri Paramarthananda, and Bidan. Now, in Shloka 13.8, it is about a student's question to the Guru about, okay, I'll read the Shloka first. It says, Atha Sushuptyavastha ka. So it means, what is the deep sleep state? So now in Shloka 13.9 is the response of the Guru for the question. So he says, Aham kimapi na janani sukhena maya nidranubhuyata. So here, aham kimapi na janami means I don't know anything. Sukhena maya nidranubhuyata means blissfully deep sleep state was experienced by me. And in brackets it says sukham aham aswapsam means blissfully I slept. Iti sushuptyavastha, meaning this is deep sleep state. So, Kaushal, you want to take it from here?
Sure. Bidhan, can we go to the next slide? Oh, you didn't you get one more? We had 2 slides. Oh, no. So probably missing that one, no? Okay. Let me just see if I have it. No, I will not be able to pull it up because it's on my mail and it's just going through a whole lot of things. That's all right. There wasn't too much on that slide, so let me try my best to.
Would this help?
Oh yeah, that's the one. Thank you so much. Could we share that?
Okay, yeah, I can do that. Just give me a moment.
Thank you. There it is. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Okay. So the Susuptyavastha is the deep sleep state. And there are two keywords I think that we must associate with this state, and that is sweet ignorance and bliss. Okay, we will get to that. In this state, the bhautika prapancha, the physical waking world that we experience, is not present. The manasa prapancha, the dream state that we experience, that we build up, the taijasa builds up, is not present. The sthula shariram is not experienced, and the sukshma shariram is also not experienced. This state, the only thing present is the karana shariram. So it is a state of bliss and ignorance. What we can say is, we might have many roles in our waking state. We might be a daughter, wife, mother, teacher, so many roles. We might have built up roles for ourselves in our dream state. I might be a warrior princess, and oh my God, I don't know what else in my dream state. But none of these roles are even felt or experienced in the dream state. Our troubles that we have in any of the other two states, there is nothing present. The minute we wake up, these troubles might come back. We put on those roles again. But in the in the deep sleep state, nothing. It is complete, like I said, the sweet ignorance. It's complete blankness. But it is not a blankness where we say that we would associate with, say, being unconscious, or where we say that, oh, I had no idea, I have completely no idea what happened with that 2 hours. It's not that kind of unconscious. It is a state where you can, where you wake up and then you feel completely refreshed and restored, and you know that you pass that time having some beautiful blissful sleep. But it's not like it's like completely like I lost track of time. So it's not an unconscious state. So the karana shariram, there is the presence of our consciousness in deep sleep state, and coupled with happiness, the blissfulness, and ignorance. The Upanishad also, I think there is one more shloka that says, Tatra pita apita bhavati mata amata loka aloka deva adeva veda aveda tena astena shravana ashravana. The meaning is, father is not a father in deep sleep state, but when he wakes up, that fatherhood wakes up. Similarly, mother is not a mother, scholar is not a scholar, musician is not a musician, sannyasi is not a sannyasi, and thief is not a thief when in the deep sleep state. In the deep sleep state, I am the embodiment of ignorance and ananda. So all of these roles and all your accomplishments and all your troubles and happiness and anything, there is no presence of it in the deep sleep state. This is, yeah. And of course, the fact that there is no experience of the sthula shariram and the sukshma shariram in this avastha. This is what we got from the commentary on Tattvabodha. From my own personal curiosity, I checked up a little bit more about what modern science has to say about deep sleep state. So I was wondering if I can just say a little bit more on that. Yeah. Okay. I think we have a lot of research that gets done for our REM cycles, the dream state. That seems to be something that researchers are all over. And it is only very recently that the deep sleep state is bringing about a lot more research and curiosity on the part of psychologists and other researchers from related fields. Until the 1930s, sleep was considered a kind of like a passive and a dormant activity. And then, of course, you had Freud and his that time where it all happened with about being the dream state. Dream state got a lot of research done, but what modern science now has to say, a little gist that I could pick up was that this is the time when the brain is emitting something called delta waves. It is the highest in amplitude at that time and the slowest in frequency. I do need to understand that a little bit more, but I don't have the knowledge about that. But this is basically when they said that it's the slowest in the frequency and the highest in amplitude in deep sleep state. So it's supposed to be extremely good. Believed to be the most restful and restorative of all sleep cycles. Our heartbeat is the slowest at this time, and so is breathing. And our temperature also drops, and our muscles are relaxed. Okay, so this is also what were the other few things that I learned? Santosh, did I share anything with you that I might be missing out on right now?
Nothing that you didn't mention, actually. It's about the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. So deep sleep state also, yes. Surprisingly, I did not I was surprised to learn this is something that we hit upon within the first hour of sleep. And we have more deep sleep in the first half of our whole sleep cycle. Like say you sleep like for like 9 hours, your deep sleep states are more in the first half, and then the dream state becomes more in the second half. So more towards the early morning hours is when the REM cycle is higher, whereas the dream sleep is the one that you hit first, actually. Okay. Another thing was, I remember talking with Santosh about this. I just remembered it and I just forgot it again. I'm sorry. If I remember it again, I'll add it. But yeah, there was another couple of things that I had learned, and I escaped. So yeah, if I have missed out on anything else, Vidhan would be the right person to fill in the gaps.
Thank you so much, Kaushal. And in fact, we really appreciate the extra effort that you took to kind of bring out the science part of it. Any questions anyone has before this couple of interesting things she pointed out? Yeah, Shreya.
Yeah, so I was talking to my daughter last week. She's studying psychology, 11th grade. So we were talking about the awakened state, that is wake. What do you call that? Not awakened state. What?
Wakeful state.
Wakeful state. And once we sleep, that is the REM. The first state of our sleep is the REM, that is rapid eye movement state, where it is basically the dreams are happening. So there is rapid eye movement happening at that time, and then we go into deep sleep state. So what she was mentioning was that when we are in the wakeful state, the graphical representation of, whatever, they use some instrument to capture the the work of the brain. So it was, showing in a not very rapid. It was very calm state, at one point in time. And in the REM, the graph went up like that, sharp ways. But when we again went into deep sleep state, it became very tiny, whatever those things were. So, of course, she doesn't like when I add spirituality into that. I've also heard, from many people that in the deep sleep state, our body actually, we have the out of body experience. So we, the consciousness, we travel, leaving the body, and we are connected to some cord, and we travel across, and I'm not sure where the traveling happens, but there is a lot of movement that happens out of the body, and as consciousness, we're back into the body when we are ready to be in the wakeful state again. So when I told her this, she said no. She just pushed me out, saying that no, I don't want to hear your spiritual talk into this. But it was something that struck me, for us to analyze that, where when the graph, it shows very tiny movements in the wakeful state, and even in the deep state, when we are moving, when the body is moving, mind is active, it is the same as the deep sleep state. So I just wanted to bring that to our notice. Anybody wants to add there, or?
Actually, yeah. So I remembered the point that I had missed out on. So let me just add that. And the research says that, like how we get hungry. Physiologically, there is hunger. So throughout the day, we also build up a craving for sleep. So the more we push off sleep, the body can actually, so like the hunger thing, the body cannot make you go and have food unless it's not like physically it can move your arms and say go put food into your mouth, kind of a thing. But it can make you go to sleep, because if you keep putting sleep off, and then there's a point when the body cannot handle it, you will have space points where you actually blank out, because the body is just shutting down. So there is that sleep thing happening. So there is a craving for sleep. And also that I felt that there were like a lot of parallels between deep sleep state and meditation, like the kind of brain waves you're emitting during these two states, the meditative state and the deep sleep state, versus all the good things that we experience physiologically also from meditating, and from experiencing the dream sleep state. I think there were quite a few parallels there. So yeah, those were the couple of things that I wanted to add.
Thank you, Kaushal. Thank you so much. Thank you, Santosh. Quickly, just to bring this out before we don't get confused here, and we'll go to the next part. So there is a difference between the way science looks at and the way Upanishads look at it. For the science, what it sees is that the physical body is the manifestation of thoughts. So because of our brain waves, the sleep is happening. It's because of our eyes, seeing is happening. Because of our ears, listening is happening. This is how science talks about it. Science believes that we have neural activities in my brain is creating thoughts, and neural activities in my brain is creating consciousness. That's how this science is kind of looking at it, while there is no specific proof to prove this point. The scriptures has a slightly different perspective. They believe that the body is nothing but a golakam, which was spoken earlier, is a sthula shariram. And behind the body is an energy body, right? That's what we spoke about, Sukshma Shariram. We spoke about 19 aspects of Sukshma Shariram. And the Sukshma Shariram, or the subtle body, expresses through the physical body. So that is the take of Upanishads. That's the take that we take. So what it means is that when the mind is at rest, when the mind resolves into Karana Sharira, when the mind resolves to the singular point, then my brain is giving a slightly different waves. When the mind starts vibrating at a different frequency, then the brain starts showing a different brain waves. So ultimately in our scriptures, they do not give too much of importance to the body, primarily because body is merely an indication of what is happening behind it. Because behind the body rests that Sukshma Sharira. So they talk a lot about Sukshma Sharira, and they say that the quality of Sukshma Sharira basically manifests in the quality of body. That's the stake that they have. So that's kind of talks about the REM movement, that talks about delta waves. They say that when you're talking about a specific delta wave, the child in the first 2 years are basically having delta waves. That's what exactly what science even says about it. But what we need to notice over here, and Kaushal, so beautifully you brought it out, that in the deep sleep, there is no problems and there is no happiness. So what does it say? That the happiness and the problems both reside at the level of mind. And if the mind resides, the happiness and the problem, both of them becomes dormant. And when mind comes up, the happiness and problem also comes up. So it kind of says that if we have the ability to manage our mind, we have the ability to manage our happiness and problems as well. It says a very subtle meaning. This is what they were trying to say, right? That in deep sleep, there are no problems. Why? Because the mind has resolved. So if at all we get into certain meditative states, for all you know, a lot of problems may simply disappear because the mind gets that capacity. So it's the problems is a function of a certain level of interaction at the level of mind. Does it make sense? All right. So let's go for the last shloka. We're already exceeding the time limit today. Yeah.
Thank you, Kaushal. Thank you, Santosh. Last of this is also a continuation of the deep sleep state. It says, Karana Sharira Abhimani, Atma Prajna Ichuttate. So where is this deep sleep state identifying itself with? It is identifying itself with Karana Sharira. Like how previously all of us spoke about Vishwa and Tejas and all this. Prajna, it is called as Prajna in the deep sleep state. What does Prajna basically mean? It means Prayena Agnya. That is almost ignorant is what it means. So what is happening in this deep sleep state? Objects are taken away. Thoughts are also wiped off. Does the vasanas go away? No, it doesn't go. It is there, but in an unmanifested form. And it is identifying itself with the Karana Sharira, and the ignorance is present. So ignorance is there. Then why is it not? The Vikshepa is not there. What do we call? Vikshepa is nothing but projection. So the Avarana or the Ajnana is there, but there is no projection. It is as simple as telling when we go to a movie hall, the screen is there, but the movie is not playing. So the Vikshepa doesn't happen in this state. And the experience of not experiencing anything will be there. So it is still exists. And can we go to the next slide? That is why it is, we are almost ignorant is what is this, it is there. Like how I have mentioned here, see, it says the waking state, the self is identified with the gross body and we call it Vishwa. And in the dream state, the self is identified with the body and we call it deep sleep state. The self is identified with the causal body. It is called as Prajna. Ignorant. And as all of us spoke, so where does this thing come? End of the day, this is nothing but a constant which is projecting itself. This is a substratum. It is projecting itself in waking state, moving through these three states. And each, like, why are we learning this part of it? Is why these are the basis, each of the Upanishads that are designed, they take state. This is called as the Avastatraya. That is the three states, the waking, the deep sleep, the waking, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. But the substratum is the consciousness that is there, or Atman that is there, but it is just revolving So it is like in the previous state, this is called as prajna. It is associated with the karana sharira or the causal body. So this is what it is. So, and I think that summarizes the whole of the three states that we are talking now.
Thank you, Uma. Thank you
Can
so
we
much.
just go back to one slide previous? Sorry. Yes. Okay, basically what we learned last week on Sthula Sharira, Sukshma, and Karana Sharira. It's now culminating together with the the three states of sleep.
It is
also.
not culminating.
Okay.
They are
Identified.
exclusive, but they are independent of each other, but mutually exclusive.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if I'm using the right word. It is mutually exclusive. We are under the impression that, okay, I am the waking state, I am the dream state or the deep sleep state. But it is something that it is just navigating with waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state. And in these three states, it is the substratum is the same, but it is identified as Vishwa. The self identifies itself as Vishwa in the waking state. Taijasa. Taijasa is self-illuminating because we are illuminating our dreams. It's our own light in the dream state, and prajna, almost ignorant in the deep sleep state.
Oh, is it also that this is a question. Is it also that the in the waking state, the gross body is active, and in the dream state, the subtle body is active, and in the deep sleep state, the causal body becomes active? Is that how it is? Or one is identifying with each of those body, understanding theoretically about how they connect with each other. But also, if we look at it one layer behind it, so is it that I'm identifying when I'm awake, I'm identifying with myself with the physical body, the presence. I can see, touch, feel, whatever. So it is like, I mean, is that how it is, right? I mean, or
right, you're identifying yourself with the physical body or the gross body, waking state.
So just to add here, Srividya, in the waking state, you have all the three bodies active. For example, you're identifying with your five sense organs, but you're also identifying with your thoughts, right? You have thoughts.
yes.
You can also
So
see it in
that
imagination.
becomes your subtle body.
So in waking state, you have an experience of both gross and subtle body, and causal body is enemy. Now, what happens in a dream state? The gross body is not experienced. Only the subtle body is experienced, and causal body is anywhere there. And the deep sleep state, both gross and subtle is not experienced, and you're experiencing the causal body.
Okay. Though all the three states are important, they take precedence with the kind of the state which we are in. That's what I'm trying to accumulate from this. Or
whichever state we are in, we think that's the reality.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the readings, what I was doing was, it said that if we start doing karma, I mean, no, if you start doing that sadhana and everything with the waking state, that's how the dream state will also get improved, because you are collecting vasanas and vritti in your waking state instead of, deciphering the dreams.
Yeah, that's wonderful to me. Okay.
Great. Any more questions before we go ahead with the prayer?
I have one, Vedant.
Sure.
It is okay. If it is not too late, we can do it.
What we
Otherwise,
will
we
do
can-
is Asha will have the prayer, and those who would like to stay back, and then we can accordingly do it.
Yeah, sure.
Those who want to log off can basically log off. Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you so much. And those who would like to log off, kindly log off, because and those who would like to just stay back and ask questions, please do.
Yeah. So the question I had was about the consciousness in terms of we say consciousness was there in the sleep state, illuminating the twofold experience of ignorance and happiness. So I am aware of the fact that I am not aware of anything. So it is an awareness of uh, basically absence. It's an
Yeah, absence.
awareness of absence.
Yes.
So um, I am not aware at the point when there is an absence. I become aware of it after I wake up. I
Yes.
become aware of it after I wake up. Now the question is,
Yes.
let's assume that I go to sleep. I know I'm going to sleep, so there is a memory of that. I know I'm going to sleep at night. I have seen the time, it's 10 o'clock. I get up in the morning, it's day, right? So I know that the fact is I went to sleep, now I have opened my eyes, now it is day, right? So then there is an awareness that time must have passed. Now, if I were to fall asleep at a particular time where there is no clock, where there is no clock, so I go to sleep and I get up where again there is no light, right? I am still aware that probably it's the feeling that I feel rested, maybe. So maybe I have slept, right? So I am trying to understand this awareness of absence. So a sleep state versus a person losing consciousness. If I lose consciousness, I have, when I say lose consciousness, I'm using the medical term for it. Like when I lose consciousness, or if I'm given, like what is that, anesthesia. If I'm given anesthesia, I have no memory of the fact that there is an awareness of absence. So when I am given anesthesia, am I not conscious? I am still conscious, but then how do we define it? Because it is an awareness of absence. Now in that particular case, I am not aware of my, that there is no awareness of nothingness, because I just go to becoming unconscious and then I come back. I have no knowledge of passage of time. So I'm saying, is the awareness of absence same as awareness of passage of time?
Right. Good point. So let's break this a bit. When we are saying even in the deep sleep, the doctors will say that we are unconscious, right? And if someone has taken anesthesia, we also say we are unconscious. Now, the point here is that the when that's a medical term which is used, what is important for us to understand is that there are various states of mind. One is the waking state that we understood very clearly. In the waking state, the mind perceives the world in its own space-time matrix. Then it starts, the mind basically moves from the waking state while interacting through the sense organs to the dream state. In the dream state, the mind constructs its own reality. If you also see, Asha, the mind will construct its own space. In the dream world, there is a presence of space, and there is also a presence of time. Sometimes you may feel, the feeling may be left with, that you have a lot of time has passed by, but for all you know, if they measure it through rapid eye movements, they will feel that the dream existed for not more than 90 seconds or maybe a minute or two. But the feeling will not be that. It feels as if the dream existed throughout the night. So in the dream state, the mind constructs its own space-time matrix. So what the scriptures are trying to say, that the mind interprets the entire world using space, time, and causation. That is called Desh, Kal, and Karma. That's how it basically interprets. It interprets it linearly using space and time. However, when the mind resolves, when the mind comes to the potential state, when the mind basically comes to a point, then there is no space and there is no time. In that point of time, you, the consciousness, you would neither experience space, neither experience time, and more importantly, you will not even experience this self. So the self is active, the feeling of I-ness, the feeling of me, that I feeling or the I thought is applicable in the waking state. The I thought is applicable in the dream state because you know that you have a body and you are doing certain stuffs, but the I thought is not there in the deep sleep state. Similarly, the time and space is there in the waking state. There is a different kind of a time and a space which is applicable in the dream state, but in the deep sleep state, there is no time and there is no space. So in the deep sleep state, when the mind resolves, whether you call it, whether you're given anesthesia or you have naturally gone to the deep sleep, there is absence of self, there is absence of space, there is absence of time. All these three things are actually missing because here the mind completely resolves. And when the mind resolves, there is no space, there is no time. And that is who you consciousness are experiencing. Now, when you wake up, you kind of say, yes, you slept well. So one can always question this, that when you wake up or when you get identified with your waking body or waking mind, I slept well was just an inference, basically thinking, okay, I slept in the night and I would have dreamt and I then woke up. So maybe I slept well in between. So is that an inference or is that a experience? The absence of space and time, is that a experience? So that's something that one will always question. But when people who go into deep states of meditation, they actually experience the absence of self, space, and time. That happens.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks, Vedant. Yeah.
And there is another point we may have to probably look a little bit more deeper into it. So one may say that what is the difference between when you go unconscious in the deep sleep or when you are given anesthesia? So this is something that we need to probably look into it further. For all you know, when you are given anesthesia, the chemicals ensures that your hardware is no longer in a position to express the brain or express the mind. While in a deep sleep, the mind hardware is properly functioning, but the mind resolves. So do you understand the difference, Asha, in these two?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there is two different things. In when you are given anesthesia, somewhere you are blocking the working of your body. It's like you're using the transistor and somewhere the switch, somewhere the wire has been removed. So even if the song is there, the song is not coming out. So even if mind is there, mind is not expressing itself because the body connection has somewhere got malfunctioned. While in deep sleep state, the body is perfectly working. The systems are working. There's no malfunction on the system, but the mind goes through its own cycle where the mind resolves. So therefore, the reason is that when you wake up from a good deep sleep, you feel very rejuvenated because the mind has actually resolved. Things have, the body is in a good condition and the mind is also very rested. So that's what can be the difference. This is coming out of more of my understanding. We can always try and understand.
Yeah, actually, the source of my question was more about being conscious of your deep sleep state. The consciousness which exists even in deep sleep. It is easy when we say we are conscious when we are waking or in other states, but in total deep sleep, we are still conscious.
But
So
what are we conscious of
consciousness.
is the question that we have to ask. When their mind is resolved, when
Hmm.
there is no name and forms, no nama rupa, there is no desha, there is no space, there is no kala, there is no time. So when there is no name and form, there is no time and there is no space, then what is there to be? So even if it is like this, Asha, that I put you inside a closet and it's completely dark. So whether you open your eyes and close your eyes, the only thing that you see is darkness.
Right. So I think there is probably a subtle difference between being conscious versus consciousness.
Yes.
Being conscious is more of, I would say, a medical term where
Yes.
we say we are conscious and we are unconscious. But I believe that probably that's not what we are saying when we say consciousness.
No. Being conscious is the state of mind. If you use medical term uses this person is conscious or not, it's talking about the state of mind. But consciousness, what we are talking is my
Awareness.
awareness,
Yeah.
my real self. Perfect. I love your question, Sasha. Thank you so much for asking. Great. And
Vedant, I'd like to add one point, Suresh.
yeah, sure.
Can I? Yeah. So if you look at it, like what Kaushal said, if you go into a deep sleep, there is a slowing down of the frequency and even the amplitude. She mentioned something. So when somebody measures the brain, when you have given an anesthesia, possibly it would be in a similar state as a dream state, where there are certain things happening. We are just not aware of it, as you said. But in a deep sleep state, you are completely rested. It's something that you've gone consciously into, and the anesthesia is a forced state that the medical world brings. So the real achievement of the deep sleep state is not there while the anesthesia is on. Is what I would say.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks, Suresh. So
Makes sense. And I think it's nice to kind of, it's nice now.
little bit of an inferential thing also, I think, because we do infer based on our how rested we feel and the passage of time and maybe all of it together. So just the awareness of deep sleep, if I were to take that in isolation, that becomes a little tricky to um, understand. So yeah.
So yeah, so the only way to think about it, Asha, is this. And just do a quick thought experiment in next 1 minute and see whether it makes sense. I love this because Swami Tattvabodha did this. Suppose you are put in a closet, all right, and there's a light inside it, so you can see it. And then you put the closet, which means then there is complete darkness. You can't see anything, right? Now, when you open the eyes, open the closet, you can see the light again. So when you have closed the closet, there can be two inferences: that you opened your eyes and you could not see, or you temporarily went blind, technically speaking.
Right.
And how do you prove you have not got technically went blind? When you opened it, you could see it. So every time I close the door of the closet, you technically go blind. When every time you open it, your eyesight comes back. That is one logical explanation. The second logical explanation is that you were always able to see, but when the closets were open, you could see because the lights were on. When the closets were shut, you could not see because the lights were not there. So both the answers are fine. So similarly, if the science has a point of view that when the consciousness is when the mind is not functioning, the consciousness is also not functioning. That is one way to say. The other way to say that the consciousness is functioning throughout is just so that in waking state the mind is vibrant. So it sees a lot of vibrancy. In the dream state, the mind is little only functioning in itself. So it sees a dream state. And the deep sleep state, the mind has completely resolved. There's nothing to witness, there's nothing to see, and therefore there is no experience at all. So both the logic can be used.
That's a very
That there's
interesting.
no consciousness in the deep sleep.
Yeah, right. That's
Or
very interesting.
consciousness exists in all the states.
True. Yeah.
Great, then thank you so much. And maybe we will try and not have the session next week. We'll just post in the group because this is New Year's and a lot of them are traveling right now. So maybe we'll try and have it next week or something around it. Is that okay? Anyway, we'll post it out there. Great. Good to see you all. Good to see you, Dr. Richa, too. See you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye
Have a great
bye.
week and weekend.